Okay. So first of all, let's try to understand where this LLM and generative AI is standing in entire data science umbrella. So data science is very vast term. It has lot of branches as well, and machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, and these are the branches of this data science. Even though nowadays data analytics is coming into a picture as well. So we will understand where this LLM stands in data science, because whenever we say I work in a data science, or whenever say I'm going to start new job in data science, new career in data science, so that is the umbrella term where exactly we are going to start or what exactly we are going to learn. We will just try to figure it out. So generative AI. So let's start from top to bottom. So here data science stats. Inside data science, there are basically three branches of AI. First will be machine learning, second will be deep learning. Okay. Now this actually a part of AI. So here we call it as a AI. So in data science there are different branches as well, but we are not going into that way like data analytics and all those things are there. But we will be exploring what is AI here. Then inside AI we have two branches, ML and deep learning. In ML again we have two branches. We call it as a supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So these are the two branches of ML. Nowadays we call it as a traditional machine learning. And then here in deep learning, we have a branches where we call a predictive AI and second is generative AI. Okay. So what exactly happens in this predictive AI? So whenever we want to predict something, whenever we want to classify something, differentiate something, that time we use a predictive AI. So far, the machine learning has grown in a field of predictive AI only. That we were trying to figure it out. What should be the market price in next month? What will be the profit of company in coming years? So those kind of analysis comes under the predictive AI. So here in predictive AI, again we have multiple branches. So how these branches are created there based on type of input, like on which type of data we are working on. So if data is a textual, data can be a image, data can be of audio. Okay. So likewise, we will have multiple types of data, and accordingly here new fields are created. So for textual data, they have created a field called as a natural language processing. So this is for textual data. Then we have a computer vision. This is specifically for video kind of data. Okay. So whenever we have this kind of data, textual data or images, audios or videos kind of data, then accordingly we go into the specific branch of data science and then we try to reprocess that data. What exactly do we do here in machine NLP and computer vision? Like our base model will still same, whatever model we are going to use to predict the analysis or predict the future values, that base model will be a same model. But this base model requires data in terms of numbers, because models are nothing but a mathematical function. So models require data in terms of number. But if you will see, this is a text. These are the images, audio, and video. These are not numbers actually. So how to convert this entire data into a numbers and pass it to a base model? That process is called as natural language processing. If it is a textual data, computer vision. If it is audio or video kind of data, image or video kind of data. Okay. So far we know that these are the branches of predictive AI, but how these branches are created based on type of data which we are taking into consideration. Now here in generative AI, again there are the various branches, but the main branch or the branch which is right now we are discussing is large language models. Okay, so if you want to generate images then that will be a different branch for generative AI. If you want to generate a textual data, then that will be comes under this large language model. Okay. So again, based on type of content, which content you want to generate, whether it is text, audio, image, video, whatever it will be, accordingly, new branches will be created here. So we are interested in textual data. That's why large language model stands here. What exactly do we here in generative AI? We are not actually predicting that what will happen in the future, but what we are trying to do, we are creating a new content out of a existing content. So existing content can be images, existing content can be text, existing content can be audio or video, whatever it will be. So what we will do, we will take the existing content and we will create a new content out of it, which may not exist right now or which may not that accurate right now. Okay. So that field is called as a generative AI, and on which type of data or what which type of data we are generating, accordingly we will create a new field here. So in this course, we are mostly interested in LLM. So we will be looking into this text generation. Okay. So this is how entire data science flow comes here. That earlier, 5 to 6 years before when I started learning, people were interested in this part of data science. And slowly they moved toward this part of data science, and in recent years means there were a lot of job in this part of data science, but now along with this part is again coming into a picture with a very dominant nature. Like right now there are a lot of jobs in generative AI fields, and people are interested as well, because whenever something comes new into a market, every company want to implement it and take a leverages of it. Yeah, so that's the flow. If anybody has any question, we can take it here. Otherwise, we can go to the next. Okay. If no question, then next will be what, like now we want to know that how this LLM works, right? What exactly happens inside a LLM? That what they do inside that, so that they are creating a new content for us. So let's take an example. What is the general flow for this large language model? How they process data inside it, and how they give us a output. So let's try to understand. You have a very huge amount of data here. Let's say it is a PDF files. Okay, so you have thousands of PDF file in your, if you are working in a particular organization, so then it can be a organization specific data. Now, in this PDF file, you may be storing a lot of information about your company, that what is the company structure, what is the hierarchy of company, how many employees are there, salary structures, skills, which employees are sitting, which kind of skill, experience of employees, everything related to company is stored inside this PDF. Okay. Now, what you want to do, if somebody is joining a organization, then yeah, we give a KT like knowledge transfer, we give it to him. But again, that is very limited term. You cannot give transfer entire knowledge in 2 or 3 hours of session. So generally, what people do, they say give this data and ask them to read. But again, that become a boring process. So what company is thinking right now? Let's say I have a lot of data. Let's create a simple model where a new joiner will go and he will ask some question like when this company was founded, which kind of tool it used, what is the hierarchy, what are the different divisions in a company, different departments, sub department, all those things is there. So that will become easier for someone who is joining new to the organization. He can ask question, he can get information out of it rather than processing these all PDF files, reading all PDF files. So goal is that we want to build a simple chat application which can interact with this PDF in form of question and answer. So we have this PDF right now. What we will do, we will convert this data into a textual format. So from PDF, we will extract all this text. So now we have a text here. But if you remember, I already told you that machine convert this text into a numbers. This conversion of text into numbers comes under a natural language processing. And what exactly happens when we convert them into a number? We call them as a vectors. Okay, so this is a number, but when we have a collection of numbers like this, then we call them as a vector. Okay, so we have a lot of such vectors. These vectors are representing this text, which is a part which is coming from this PDF. So we are storing this vector somewhere. That's why we call this storage as a vector database. Okay. So far, what we have done, we have simply converted our PDF to my vector database. Mhm. This will be two-way communication. Now, if someone who is joining new to organization, he is here, right? So what we will do, we will convert this text into a vectors again, but this will be a relatively small vector. We will not require database that we will store this vector. So it will be a very small vector because we are mostly asking some 10, 15 lines of question only, not even that, one, two line of question is there. So we will convert this vector. We will send this vector here to a large language model. Now, what large language model will do? Large language model will extract a content out of it. Yeah, from these vectors, it will extract content out of it. It will send it to this vector database, and it will look for similar vectors here in vector database. So let's say if you are asking a question that how many employees are there in this organization, then this question is going here and it is looking for a similar vectors like strength of organization and how it will look inside this database. There are different techniques because vector database has a lot of information. So how efficiently you can query this information. So there are different matching algorithms. Okay. So like some nearest neighbor kind of algorithm, the similarity finding algorithm we use. So there are a lot of similarity based algorithm that we will understand. This similarity based algorithm, what they will do, they will find some vectors here and then they will give you some output. Okay, these are the vectors which are matching with your question. So what this vector will go, this vector will again go into this large language model. So let's say my question is how what is the strength of organization. Okay, this question is converting into vectors, it is going into vector database, matching some details, and then it is returning some numbers here. These are again vectors. Let's say this vectors is only storing information that strength of organization is something like that 10,000. Okay. So this 10,000 number is going inside this large language model. Okay. Now, if somebody is asking you a question, what is the strength of organization? If you will only say 10,000, this doesn't look like a human kind of human interaction, right? Means it looks like you are interacting with a robot. If you're asking what is your name, he will say Ram. Okay. What is the strength of organization? He will say 10,000. Okay. What is the hierarchy of this organization? Then he will say at the top there is a CEO, COO, then like managers, VP, directors, associate, whatever it will be. Then it doesn't like look like a human interaction. So to convert these vectors into a response according to this question. So what is the question? What is the strength of organization? So I will convert this one word 10,000 into a response that will look like the strength of organization is 10,000. So actually from vector database, we are only taking this information. Okay, we could only find this information, but the sentence which we are creating is done by this LLM. Okay, so large language model is converting whatever information we are finding in a vector database into a human like a translation so that you should have a feel that you are interacting with a human. Yeah. So that's how this entire flow works. Many people we say, yeah, okay, chat GPT is there. I can go and ask question to chat GPT. Yes, you can definitely ask question to chat GPT, but chat GPT will not able to answer questions related to your company data. Chat GPT don't know what is the hierarchy in your company. Chat GPT don't know what is the strength of your organization, right? Because it hasn't trained on your organization data. So if you want to build a chatbot which will specifically work on your organization data, then you can integrate these large language models with your organization data so that you can get a response according to it. Yeah. If I will go to ChatGPT and ask that my organization name is ABC, give me hierarchy. Maybe ChatGPT will give response, or maybe it will say I don't have information, right? Or if it will give response, that may not be that accurate. So to integrate your information with LLMs, we use this vector data. Okay. So that's a very high level flow that how these large language models work here. Okay. Any question here? Okay, if not, then we have some time. I can just show you that we can build a simple large language model which will uh, respond according to our information. So let me share that code with you, or we can try write it down from scratch. Give me a minute. Okay, so if many of you are not familiar with it, this is a, Visual Studio IDE. So I will just create a new terminal here, and then what we can do, let's open a git bash. Okay, now what I want to do, I will simply create one application which will take information from me and it will respond accordingly. Okay, so I want to build a very simple chatbot application. So to do that, we will first activate our environment. So let me see if we can activate Honda, activate virtual environment. Okay, let's see Honda, activate DVC virtual environment. Okay, environment is activated here. So next step will be, I will write down all these commands. So maybe if anybody want to try it after this session, you can also try to build it from your end. Honda create minus n. You can give it any name, test virtual environment. Then Honda activate test virtual environment. So once you are activate, you can give any name by the way here. So your environment will get activate. So now you will need some dependencies to install it. So we will install that here. So requirement txt. So we can specify some dependency which are required to for our specific project. So let me see what are those. Yeah, so these are the dependencies. Streamlight is a application or is a framework which will help us to build a interactive UIs. Then this PyPDF are used to work with PDF file. This ChromaDB is kind of a vector database. LangChain is a framework. Likewise, we have all those things. We will understand them slowly. So let's install them. Pip install -r requirement.txt. So what we are doing, we have simply created one environment, and inside that environment, we are installing these dependencies which are required. So I will write down that command here as well. Pip install -r requirement.txt. Okay, yeah, it is installing. So these three commands are required for each Python project. Whenever we are working with Python, create a virtual environment and install dependencies in that virtual environment. That is the first step. So let's wait until it's getting installed. Okay, meanwhile it is getting installed. Let me write down a file which will be our sql.py. What we will do here, we will create one database and we'll put some data inside that database. So we'll import this SQLite 3. Okay. So SQLite 3 database we are going to use. I will make a connection with this database. Connection is equal to SQLite dot connect, and we can give any name to our database. Let's give a name like demo underscore LLM. So this database will create. I will create a table inside that database. So let's create a table. Table is equal to create table. I will run a query. So create table. Table name I can keep it like this only. Yeah. And inside that table, maybe I will create some information about Indian river systems. Okay, how these Indian river systems work. Is it okay? So it will take time rather than let's take it from here. I already have a query here, so we'll just simply edit that query according to our database and we'll explain it what is happening here. Okay. See, I'm creating a table with this name. Inside that table, I will create one column. It will be river column. Then what is the length of that river? What is the origin of river? From where this river is coming from, and through which states it is flowing. Okay. So this kind of information I will try to record in my table, and will make a cursor. So let's make a cursor here. What is a cursor? By the way? Cursor is something that will help us to execute a query in our database. So let's write connection dot cursor. So this cursor will execute any query. So I will write it down here, cursor dot execute, and then I will write this query which is for table. So this query will simply create a table in your database. Okay, that's good. So table is created. Next will be we will insert some data. So for that as well we'll require one query. So I have that query here. So cursor dot execute. Which query we want to execute? We will execute this information. Yeah. See, what is the river name, length of kilometers, origin, all these are my columns, and values are river should be Ganga. It has this length from where it is coming from, through which state it is flowing. So Bay of Bengal, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, these are the states. Then we have a next river Yamuna. Accordingly, we have entered this information. Godavari, Krishna, Brahmaputra. All these rivers I have simply inserted into a database. So what is the approach right now? Creating a simple database. In that database, I am inserting some information. Okay, so this information I am inserting into it. And let's see if this information is present there or not. So we'll see print below are the rows in table, rows inserted in database. Okay, and next is data is equal to cursor dot execute. So I will simply verify if data is inserted there or not. So we'll execute a query that is select all from this database. Okay, yeah, and we'll print it for row in data because this data variable will containing all information. So we will print them row by row. So write it down, print row. Okay, and connection dot commit. Whatever changes I have made, I will commit to database and we'll close this connection. Connection dot close. Mhm. Okay, let me activate this bash shell, PowerShell. Just a minute. What is the problem? I think environment is broken there. Okay. Meanwhile, we will complete this code and we'll look into it. Okay. So this is how I have written a query here. What this query will do, it will simply, uh, let's see if I can at least execute this. Python sql.py. Yeah, it is working. So here, what we have done, we have simply created one SQL file which will insert this data in my database. Okay, that's it. Next step will be we will create a app.py file. What this file will do, inside this file, we will create our simple Streamlit application, and this application will query our database and it will give us the output. So I will write down some dependencies required there. Okay, these are the dependencies which will be required, like this Streamlit application. OS is a library, SQLite is a database dependency. This database dependency we will use here. Next will be, since in this case I'm going to use a Google Gemini Pro application model, so I will have to create a key for that model, and I already have created it. So I will simply connect to that model with that key. So this is a large language model which I am using here. Okay. So this large language model we will connect with. This is Gemini Pro application. Then next will be create a response from Gemini Pro. So let's write it down. Yeah. So what we are doing here in Gemini Pro response, we will creating one function which will take our question along with the prompt. Now what it will do, it will go inside this model. Yeah, Gen AI, generative AI model it will be, and Gemini Pro is a model which we are using. So in this model, we will go model dot generate content. What kind of content you want to generate? You will simply prompt your insert your prompt along with your question. Okay. So once you will give your question and prompt, it will give you some response, and that response we will store inside this query variable and we will return it. Okay. So let's write it down. Next function to write a query in our database. It will get clear. Just wait for a minute. Then next function is to read a SQL queries. So what it is doing, we are passing some SQL queries with a database name, and it is going inside that database here. It is making connection with that database. If you remember how to make a connection, SQL like connection and database name. Then we are making a cursor here, connection dot cursor, and this cursor will execute a query, whatever query you are passing. Once that query is done, we will fetch data from it and we will simply return that data, okay, from that uh, SQL database. Okay, now I want to create a prompt. So let's create a prompt, and let me first of all rename this database name here. Yeah. Hmm. So what we are telling our generative AI model that who am I? So I am an you are an expert in converting English questions to a query. Okay. So what it will do, if you will ask him that what is the longest river in India? So this is a English context, by the way. So what it will do, it will convert that question into a query. Okay. And that query will get executed in your database. Okay. So let's see what is happening. So you are an expert in converting English question to SQL query. The SQL database name has demo LLM2 and has the following columns. So these are the columns in my SQL database. Okay. Now I will give him some example. Let's say this is example one. If somebody is asking you a question, how many entries of record are present? If this is a question, then you should write a query like this. Select count of all from demo LLM to table. Okay. So from this database, you will execute this query and you will return whatever output it. If somebody is asking you, tell me all the rivers having length greater than 1500 kilometer, then what query you will execute? You should execute query like this. Select all from this database where length of kilometers should be greater than 1500. Okay, so these are two examples I'm giving to this generative AI model so that he will understand what exactly I want to do. So this is called as a prompt, and if you may have heard about prompt engineering as well. That engineering is writing this prompt only. Yeah. So if I will write an efficient prompt so that I will get an efficient response out of it. Okay. So this is how I can write a simple prompt here. Good. So I have a prompt. I will create a application, Streamlight application here. Streamlight application. Set underscore, not set, it is Streamlight st set underscore page underscore config. And here I will give a page title because I am creating a UI, so I should give a title to that UI. So what should be the title? I will write it down here. Retrieve SQL queries. Then we'll write a header to that, st.header, and we'll write down what should be the header. Retrieve SQL data using Gemini Pro application. Retrieve SQL Gemini Pro application. Gemini Pro model. Simply I can write it down. Then what will be my question? So I will ask question like this. st dot text underscore input. Okay, and here I will take it as an input, whatever input I am getting from my UI. So it has a key is equal to input. These are the syntax to write down. uh, these are actually basic syntax for Streamlight application. So don't worry, we are also going to learn it that how to create a simple Streamlight application from very scratch. So you will able to create these small APIs after learning it. And then we'll create a submit here. Submit will be a submit button and enter your question here. So once somebody has created submit, if submit is submitted, then query we will create here. Query is equal to get underscore Gemini Pro response, and in that response we are passing our question with this prompt. So now it will get clear to you what is happening. Question, comma, prompt. Yeah. See, forget about all those things. Just understand here, if somebody is clicking submit button on your UI and he is right asking you some question, so what you will do? First of all, you will go to this Gemini Pro response variable, sorry, function, and it will give you your question with a prompt. So let's go and see what is happening here. So it is going here, Gemini Pro response function. So your question is that which is the longest river in India? This is your question. What is your prompt? Your prompt is this. See, so you are giving a prompt to generative AI, that model, that what exactly I want to do. So my question is, which is the longest river in India? Along with that, I'm giving a prompt. What is this prompt? That you are a LLM, sorry, you are a expert converting English question into a query. Now generative application will understand. Oh, I have to convert this question into a query because this prompt is telling me. Next is that, see how many entries are there in database. I will execute this query. Now generative AI model will understand. Okay, if somebody is asking questions, then he is writing this query. So now what is the question now? Which is the longest river in India? So let's make a query accordingly, and then it will create that response for you, which will go inside this query and you will extract it. So what is the work of this function? Taking question from a user, taking prompt from this code, and then converting that question into a SQL query. Why we convert that question into SQL query? Because we have written it inside a prompt that you have to convert queries question into a query. That's why it will convert it. If you will write down here, you are expert converting English question into a French question. Yeah. So if you will write down here a French question and you will give some example here. So this function will not convert into a query. This will convert this question into a French language. Yeah. So that will become a language translation. So everything's depend on your prompt. Whatever prompt you will give, accordingly it will do a operation. Okay. So we know this query is there. So let's say you have some query. Next question will be, we will simply print that query here, print question and query, so that we know what will happen. Now next will be, I will create a response. The response is equal to this query I will execute inside my database. So read SQL query, yeah, and I will put this query. Now what will happen? This query is given by generative application. You ask him question, that question is converted into a query, and that query you are executing in your read SQL function. So what is happening here in read SQL? You are giving a query with your database name, so it will go and execute that query inside database, and it will find out, okay, what is the longest river in India. It will return that information to you, and you will store that information in a response variable. Now next step will be simply return this response to your user. So what you will do, you will create one more subheader, st dot subheader. The response for your question is something like that, and you will print whatever information you have in your response. For row in response, print all row. Okay, yeah. So likewise you will get a response in a front page. Okay, so let's stop it here and go and create run this application. So actually I have it here in, give me a minute. Okay, so we have this sql.py, we have this app.py where we have written all these things here, prompt and question. Let's execute it. How to run this app.py? We will run streamline run app.py. As soon as I will execute it, it will create one UI. Let's go. See here we can see it is asking me to go localhost 8501. So I will go localhost 8501. See localhost 8501. If I will go there, it will be my Streamlight application here. Now you will understand. See, I have written those prompt here. Just a minute. Okay. So how from where this actually coming? Retrieve SQL data using Gemini app. I have written it here. See in my app.py. I have written it here. Retrieve SQL data using Gemini app because it is my header and that's why this header is here. Okay. You can see here I am getting a title retrieve SQL query. See it is retrieve SQL query. From where this title is coming? Here. Page title I have said that's why it is coming there. Okay, now I have created a text input in the form of question. So see this text input is created here, so I can write any input here. Okay, next will be I have created one button. So where is that button? See this button is there and inside that I have written enter your question. That's why you can see this name or this text on your button. Okay, all good. Now let's ask a question that give me all data. Okay, what will happen now? I am writing this prompt here, question here. It will go in my core as a question. Question is this: give me all data. Okay, now this question will from here. See, I have this question. When I will click on this submit button, what will happen? This question will go here in Gemini, get Gemini response with question and prompt. Okay, now what is happening here? It will create a query for it. So likewise, my question is going into a LLM model. This LLM model is converting this question into a query. So query is equal to select all from whatever database name is my database, let's say. Okay, it will convert into a query. Now next thing, I am going into this function read SQL query. So I'm giving this query along with database name. So what it will do, it will go inside this database and execute this query. So cursor dot execute and it will execute this query here. Whatever response you will get, you will store that response into a response variable. Okay. Now you can see you have a response here. Now next will be I will create one more subheader that the response for your question is, and I will simply return whatever response I have it. So I will response like this: one row, two row, three row, or in the form of this rows likewise. So let's see if this will happen or not. Yeah, I hope this flow is clear. I am writing a question here, question going into my core, then it is going into that Gemini app. In that Gemini app, what we are doing, we are passing this question along with prompt. So what is my prompt? Prompt is saying that I am a expert in converting English question into a SQL queries. So that's why this app will convert this question into a query. So you have a query, you can simply execute that query in your database. It will give you a response. You can simply return that response, whatever it will be. Okay. So now if I will hit enter question, see, the response for your question is from where it is coming. See here, the response for your question is for row in response, each row print as a header. So see, each row is printed as a header. So this is a response: Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, all this river. Now, if I will ask, give me detail of Ganga only. This question will get converted into a query. I will hit enter. See, I will only have information related to Ganga. If I am interested in knowing that what is the length of Ganga river. Now this time, see, 2525 is the length of Ganga river. Okay. Now how exactly it converting here? We can see it here. Okay. See, my first question was give me all data. See, this question is printed here. Accordingly, it has converted that question into a query. See, select all from LLM demo. My next question was give me detail of Ganga river only. So it has created this query. Select all from LLM demo where river name is equal to Ganga. What is the length of Ganga river? Then it is created a query. See, select length from LLM demo where river name is equal to Ganga. If now I will write it down a next query, list all river names. See, Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, all rivers are there. And see, list all river names are here. It has created a query. List river name from LLM demo. Okay. So now I will again go back here and try to explain you what is happening. Here in vector database, see this is a vector database. So what is this vector database? This is my SQLite database format. SQLite 3. In this, I have all information. What I am doing, I am asking some question. That question is going into LLM model. It is converting into a query. That query is executed in SQL database. And what I am doing, I am simply returning that query here. That's the reason you do not see a human-like interaction here. See, every time, what should be the response, by the way? That the list of all rivers name means these are the list of Indian rivers, and it should list that in Ganga, Yamuna, whatever it will be. If you will ask longest river in India, then it should return. Okay, it has not written it. Let's refresh. From which state Ganga river flow? Through which state? Yeah, see, it has written it. But still, it is not a human kind of interaction. Like, I am asking a question, it is just responding Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal. No, I expect something like that. That Ganga rivers flow through Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal states. I expect it like that. But it is not coming like that. Reason, I am directly responding whatever response I am getting for this query to my user. What I should do in next phase, that I should pass this response to LLM model, and then LLM will convert it into a human kind of it. But since this is a demo, that's why we are only working on this architecture. Question, question going to LLM converting into a query, query executing into a database, and whatever output we are taking from database, we are simply responding into as answer. So this answer is nothing but output of database query. What you can do in the next phase, you can pass this database query into LLM and ask it to convert into a human phrase, and then that human phrase answer will be written as an answer. Yeah, that we can also do. Okay. So this is how, I hope you it is clear to you now how these applications work, how it connects, how it convert into a different kind of information. If any question, we can take it here now.
Not like what the purpose? Why did you choose it?
Why I use Gemini Pro application? Is this a question?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
actually it is open source. It does not require any paid version. So mostly in learning phase, we use these open source models. So there are paid models and open source models. So Gemini Pro is among the open source model. That's why I use it.
Okay, so in your code, I saw you choose a prompt, prompt of zero. So why you could have used prompt of one, right? So why the choose of zero instead of
Okay.
one?
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. You mean here, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Actually, when we create a prompt, we expect that prompt should be a list of different phrases. So right now I have created a list here. Prompt is a list of these phrases. And in that list, I have written one phrase, okay, who I am. I may create a one more like this, next sentences, okay. And similarly, one more like next sentences, okay. So from this list, I have this phrase which is available at 0th position, this is available at first index, and this is available at second index. So I what I want to do, I only want to pass this first prompt. That's why I have selected from this prompt give me only first prompt which is available at 0 index. That's why we have passed it here 0.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. Okay, any question apart from this? Code is in front of you. If you want to ask any question related to code, or we can go to this app as well, and if you want to ask any question to this application to test it, you can ask me or application as well. Okay.
So can I ask one question, sir?
Yes, yes, please.
So
Actually, we are
here,
waiting.
yeah. So here, the scope of these answers are only the whatever the PDF file you have um, uh, um,
Yes,
given, right? You
yes, yes.
converted, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so PDF to that database again. There you are using another. I mean, LLM once again there.
Let me go here and clarify your question. Yeah. So here we have a
Yeah,
PDF.
yeah,
We are converting that PDF into a vector database. Okay.
yeah.
So here we are not using LLM. These are just a normal machine learning techniques that comes under NLP. So these NLP
Oh,
techniques, yeah, we
okay,
will only convert it into vectors.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Anything else? Okay. If not, then we can stop this session here. Thanks everyone for attending it. And if you want to try this code at your end, if you want to understand it, you can simply take this code from my GitHub. I will share the GitHub link with organization, and then they will share with you. Okay. So you can just follow up with Visualpath, and then they will give you this link. You can simply execute it. I have it here. Maybe I can also give it. Give me a minute.
One more question. Huh?
Yeah, I don't have it, but yeah, I will search it and give it to you. Not in my system, it is in another system, but you can follow up with Visualpath team. They will give this link. Simply go to it and you will find everything whatever we have written here. These commands are also there. Simply execute this command at your end, install dependencies, run these files, and everything will get executed as expected. Okay. Okay, guys, then thanks everyone for joining this
Okay.
session. Sorry, Venkata.
Hello.
Uh,
Yes, I have one more question. If time is close, what will be the duration of this training, and also how many real-time projects we'll be able to implement together?
Yeah, so in this I got a second question. What was the first?
The first question is what will be the duration of this training, And the
Okay.
second is how many real world projects we'll be able to implement to show
Yes.
based on the video.
So duration is official duration is 45 hours, but I am sure that it will take more than 45 hours because it is a complex thing. It will take time to learn all those things. And again, daily we will take a 1 hour, so we will go very slowly so that you will grasp all those things. So official duration is 45 hours, but it may go beyond like it may go till 50 or 55 hours as well, and in worst case it may go till 60 hours. So 15 hours is a buffer for me. Then next is that how many projects we are going to do. So at least three projects which we will execute from scratch in this course. At least three, and if time permits, then more projects as well we can take. But minimum three are there.
May I know the three projects?
Uh, Yes, these are will be like creating a vector database, Chroma database. One will be interacting with this text file. One will be interacting with the SQL agent, and another one will be interacting with these paid LLM models. Yeah, so we will explore both open source and paid LLM models as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Yeah. Thanks for asking question and attending a session. See you all in next session.